What's up, beautiful souls? My name is Shanis, and you are tuned in to The Art of Growing Together. You are listening to episode 3. This episode is all about attachments and understanding your attachments and how to avoid getting attached to things that you know you should not be attaching yourself to once you understand your patterns and what it is you actually typically attach yourself to. Let's just get into it. I know that was a lot. That was like a wordly introduction, but it's a heavy topic. I have some personal stories I'll share just to kind of like get my examples out again, but I want to kind of express how important it is to understand how you get attached and what your attachment style is, because that is how you understand your triggers and understand the cycles of things that you feel like you're stuck in, because we've all gone through those loops, whether it was with friends or relationships or jobs or family or with yourself, your commitment to doing certain things. It's like you go through these loops of, doing it, working on it, attaching it, then you're like the one left hurting. You're the one that's disappointed. You're the one that's upset, whether it's like something that you were in control of or something that you weren't in control of in that moment. It's like the attachment is what got you there. So yes, understanding your attachment first and foremost is important. And I'm not going to go into all the attachment styles. I know there is a ton. I'll just say do your research, okay? I will explain how I have come to understand attachment styles, and maybe that'll give you a little bit more information of what you should be researching or what you should be looking up after this podcast. So, yeah. So yes, when it comes to attachment styles, of course, like all things that we do in our adult life, it comes from childhood. Sadly, but usually, typically, it comes from childhood. It could come from any point of your life or your upbringing, and it could also lead to adulthood, or I would say, young adulthood, especially between like 18 and 24. So any of these significant moments could have happened to where, you formed a bond or you internalized it in a certain way, and now you are attached to this idea of this is how things should be. So yes. There are a few attachment styles that everyone has heard of, like anxious attachment style and avoidant attachment style, and I don't even know. The list goes on and on. I feel like my mind is just like so full with all the attachment styles. I can only say attachment at this point because I'll just be rambling. But yes, when it comes to attachment styles, you have to look in your childhood. You have to look in your significant moments, in your significant times in your life that kind of triggered change or shift, or had any significant thing that happened to you in your life, or had anything that you had to learn from or grow from. So my example in that would be kind of like if you had a parent who was a little bit distant, who was a little bit avoidant, who, maybe didn't really show a lot of love in the household, maybe didn't show a lot of affection in the household. You'll grow up to kind of having that attachment to understanding that I don't have to be affectionate to show love, or I don't have to say I love you even though I feel it, or there's so many things that can manifest from those mindsets. And it could also be the complete opposite, to where you kind of have a parent who's like overly affectionate, or you have had a circumstance in your life where one of your parents, God forbid, did something that was traumatic to you, or had any type of trauma to you when it came to being overly affectionate, or just way out of line when it comes to just doing too much when it comes to affection. I'm just going to say that because I don't want to be too triggering in this episode. But people like that can grow up to having that attachment style to, this is my show of power or love, or whatever, whether it's welcomed or unwelcomed. It's like, this is what I feel like is right, and this is what I know is right. So having those attachments to those traumatic moments, or those huge moments that kind of had that whole I don't want to say like tower moment because we're not talking spirituality, but it created a whole, what's the word, domino effect, to where now things are shifting or changing or altering in your life because of this moment. So again, it can look like anything, it can be anything, and it can be something that lasted a long time, or could have just happened in one moment. Like I said, it could have been your upbringing as you were growing up, or it could have just been one thing that happened to you, like a relationship. People who have one heartbreak, now I'm attached to this idea that everybody's going to cheat on me. Now I'm attached to this idea that love really isn't real, and that everything that so-and-so be saying is not true, and all I have to do now is just play my role and like do the opposite of that, and I'll be, well, not the opposite, just like, be a player or whatever, and I'll save myself from all that, like just because I have that attachment to this is what I know is true, this is what I know I should be following in order to protect myself. Of course, people are loud outside. But yes, when it comes to your attachment styles, it can look like anything, guys. It can really look like anything. But I think the most significant thing to look at is, things that, again, have those reoccurring times in your life, or things that create loops in your life. So when it comes to relationships, or when it comes to one person, just coming back around and around and around and around, you have to understand, what are you attaching yourself to? Is it something that this person is doing that is catering to your attachment style, that, let's say for instance, again, you're a child who maybe wasn't, I wouldn't say loved, but you were loved, but you weren't appreciated, or you weren't never acknowledged about how great you are or whatever, like. And then now you have this person who they're always telling you how great you are, they're always telling you how much they love you, but they're not doing anything for you, and it's like you're still going back to them because it's like, well, I need that. There's still a part of you that's still attached to that idea that I need this in order to be okay, and I need this in order to protect my own mental health, my own sanity, and make sure I feel loved. So even when it's like, I don't want to talk to this person, or this person did something that, upset me, yeah, you guys will go a certain amount of time without talking, but something will trigger you to feel like you'll need that love, or you'll need that, reassurance, and I have to get it from these people who can cater to my attachment styles. And it's a very toxic cycle. It's a very toxic cycle. And again, I can talk about this for hours because there's so many types of attachment styles. I'm telling you, just go on Google, look it up, start doing your research, start figuring it out. What is it that you're attaching yourself to that's, keeping you in this box or in this loop and not getting you this desired outcome, kind of like with weight loss. For me, my attachment was my eating style. I was very much attached to my eating style and how I guess, how I was accepting myself as well as a person, just kind of like, I'm so attached to this eating style, and if I get triggered, I need to go back to this eating style in order to be okay. And I had to create that detachment. And I'm going to talk about detaching later on in another video, or like in the next episode, because that's, again, this is already a lot. That's going to be a lot too. So to put both of them in one podcast, way too many words. But again, yes, my attachment style when it came to my weight loss was figuring out why I was so attached to, the unhealthy foods and, the emotional eating and things like that. Like, what is it doing for me, and how am I using this as a tool to, be okay or be protected or feel safe when I'm triggered, and how, because at the end of the day, when it comes to working on triggers, when it comes to dealing with, unlearning things that you were taught in your childhood that you weren't supposed to be taught, or that, sadly you just were a victim of knowing, but it's like, you have to understand that you can't just change a trigger overnight. You're not just going to say, oh, well, I'm just not going to let that trigger me. Because it's, mind over matter. You could try, but it's like, you'd be lying to yourself, and eventually it'll trigger you so bad to where it's like, now this is why I suck. And then it's worse. We're not going to go down that route, okay? When it comes to understanding your triggers, when it comes to dealing with your triggers, it's like working around it. It's understanding all the things that are, going into them and then being the outcome of them. What am I doing once I'm triggered? What am I doing before I'm triggered? What happened before I was triggered? What happened after I was triggered? Like, how long in those instances was I okay again? Things like that is how you deal with triggers. And learning your attachment style and understanding how to avoid attaching yourself to certain things is how you prosper with healing those triggers, I would say, because at the end of the day, they can still happen. We're not in control of how you are emotionally affected at times. At the end of the day, your mind is really a computer. It's a machine. It's going based off of your past, your present, your future, how you've been feeling, how you've been dealing with things. And even though you want to change your mind and you want to go in a different route, it's still immediately going back there because that's the only thing that it's ever known. So it's not always easy, but it is a process, and it is a great one. So yes, again, attachment styles, like I said, they can still happen. So when it came to my weight loss, I understood why I was so attached to my emotional eating and why I needed it to feel safe. And then once I was able to, start working on that, whenever I would become triggered, I would start avoiding that attachment to it. So I would become triggered and then I would want to eat emotionally. And then at times, if I felt like it would actually make me happy right now, I would do it. And then I would just not attach myself to it because I would know that it's okay and then I could just go back to eating healthy tomorrow. You understand? It's like that's a whole different thing than not knowing what you're attached to, and just feeling like, well, yeah, I'm an emotional eater, and then something triggered me and now I feel like I'm eating emotionally again, and then now it's going on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on end, and then I'm just feeling like the biggest loser because how did I not stop? How did I get to a certain point to where I start looking back to being like, dang, I haven't been eating that many vegetables. It's not something that, is, I don't know, it's not something that's impossible, but it's also, like I said, it's a journey. It's something that you have to really just become aware of. So again, just looking into it and understanding it, whether it's something small, whether it's something big, I feel like all of it is big. I feel like everything, when it comes to healing, when it comes to understanding yourself, it's all big because that's every reason why we're here. I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but I just feel like we're all here for a reason. And if you're not here to become a better human being, why are you a human being? Or maybe you're here to make a difference. Or maybe you're here to serve a purpose for human beings after you, and who knows what that will look like. It's just certain things like that you really aren't in control of. You have to understand that you are in control of yourself. You're human, you're being, and to create a safe space for that, to understand that, you don't deserve to go through cycles of negativity and go through those mind clusters. I wanted to say something else, but my family's watching this. But you're not going through those mind clusters of just being like, what is going on with me? How can I not get this right? Or why am I still dealing with this after all these years, So yes, I have to stop my smacking. I feel like every time I hear it when I play it back, I'm like, cringe. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, my next episode is going to be on detachments, and I'm very excited to talk about that because it is equally as important as attachments. And again, I can talk about this again. I can talk about this more. I can break this down again if you guys want me to. Just let me know. And I can just give more examples about my own attachment style if that's what you guys need. Just let me know. Talk to me in the comments. I always say that. And stick around, okay? Stay a while. Watch some other episodes. And I'll see you in my next one. I love you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Have a great day. Have an amazing day. Have a beautiful, miraculous, and warm-hearted day. I don't know. Just enjoy the day. All right?